Hi, guys. Hey, what's up? Today we have Mr. Bitbender from Gala Games because Titan couldn't be on, and I felt that, well, the only person that could replace him, best replace him, is Mr. Bitbender here.
I'll do my best. There's no way that I could live up to that standard. No way, but I'll try.
Well, I very much appreciate the short notice here. I asked it at literally the 11th hour, so and I'm glad you were able to make time for Faz Radio here. We do have a small but loyal group of people that watch this, and a lot of people seem to watch the recorded version of this. Let me move me over here.
Whoa. There we go.
Oh, there.
Whoa.
We do that. There. See, I'm bigger now. So yeah, I have a number of questions about Gala Games, things that I've wanted to know, and these questions will be unpolluted by things that Titan would say. So this is a Titanless radio. Last week.
Okay. Oh man, I can't believe I'm fucking doing this.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Can't.
Don't do it.
I can't.
If you insist.
I'm going to stick up for him a tiny bit. I do appreciate some of his questions. I don't appreciate the rampant conspiracy theorying and the moving of goalposts and things like that. But I do appreciate the fact that he is passionate and he cares.
Well, I will try to reflect some of his views because he would say, you guys move the goalpost. But that's what this is about, actually, in a way. Because I want to get into how the community expects, what the community expects of crypto gaming and of Gala Games. And I prepared a number of questions. Let me put them over here. Hopefully I don't kick myself off.
That'd be really awkward if I was just here all by myself suddenly.
On Faz Radio. Well, here, let's put up the icon. That way you can totally like rip me a new one if I don't show up. There you go. So, all right. Oh, did I do the announcement? I think I did. All right. So yeah,
there was an announcement?
There was on Crypto Faz Academy. Do you not subscribe? Really?
I think I probably do, but I have so many freaking things that I don't always see in my I think actually hold on 1 second. I'm going to Crypto Faz Academy right now. Faz Radio. Okay, community expectations of gaming. There we go.
And that was the picture from your Twitter, I think. I just pulled that from Google Images.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just here so I can see the comments and the questions as they come through too. Because, yeah, always happy to answer questions.
All right. So the reason I did that is because there seems to always be controversy in the gaming world. Why? Because there's a bunch of people that just, I don't know if they have lives. But I will say that there's a lot of people that are very interested in crypto gaming and they want to know what's going on at all times. I don't think that there is a standard way that companies are communicating via Web3 right now. I think companies are just kind of picking their own angles, and people are just all over the place, and they're starting to play favorites. It's not like if you're going to buy a car. I was just noticing with my son today, because I got a new car recently, that all the new cars of all the companies all kind of look the same. Mm-hmm. They all have the same fronts, and they have the same design on the side, and they all look the same. And he's like, well, why? And I'm like, well, because people don't want to take a risk. Because if you take a risk and you make a car that looks radically different than all the other cars, it's either going to really bomb or really take off.
Yep.
And so that's why people like Elon Musk with the Tesla truck, what's that called? The Cybertruck. The Cybertruck, it's so interesting because it's so different. And if it takes off, he's fucking rich and everybody's going to copy him.
He's rich already. He'll be okay whether it takes off or not. He's fine. The man's not going hungry.
I'm looking for that standard in crypto gaming.
Sure.
I want to see how companies are actually settling themselves out, and it seems like they're all over the place.
Yeah, of course.
Let me check the comments here. Okay, so Osprey and Dankster, nothing going on yet. I'm kind of waiting for Zorro to show up. Zorro Gala has been at every one of these.
Zorro is amazing. I appreciate Zorro tremendously.
He's a very positive guy. I like him.
There he is.
He is?
He literally just commented right there.
Cool beans. There we go. So I got mostly, I'm going to be selfish, and I have mostly a bunch of my own questions that I've built up over time.
Sure.
I'm sure people can ask some questions in there, but sorry, people. I'm just doing what I'm doing.
And I can see the chat, and he can't stop me from seeing the chat. So if you ask questions, I may see them and answer them, no matter what he says.
Typing in all capitals and exclamation points. Don't take over my cast, though. I know we have like 5 people on it, but anyway. What's that? So I want to start just really quickly to just start off from the beginning a little bit, and just I want to get some basic definitions here. What exactly is Gala Games? What do you do? I mean, are you a game developer? Are you a publisher? Are you both? How come people want to know what the fuck you guys are?
People. So this is an interesting and complex question, because what we really are is way the hell bigger than people think. People have a tendency to look at us and say, "Oh, guys, you guys you do games. You're a game publisher. You're a game producer. You do music. You do film." The reality is that we're a lot more than that. I think that the way that we really should be looked at is as an L1 protocol that happened to start in entertainment, but was built with everything in mind. And so I think that that's the big thing. Yes, we do publish some games. Yes, we do have teams that make games. But that isn't our main focus. It is a huge focus. It consumes a tremendous amount of our resources, but the long-term goal here is really protocol level. Like, how do we create something that enables the next generation of builders in gaming and in entertainment and beyond to build something in a way that is competitive to any of the other products that are out there currently?
Okay. Hey, Jay Soto is here. How's it going, man? Okay. Why do you want to address all these different things? You got Gala Music, Gala Film.
Well, hold on. It's not that we want to address them. It's just that there is room for them to be addressed. And the idea is that if you take the amount of transaction throughput that gaming requires, you can handle anything. Any other industry can come in and build into the place that gaming has fulfilled. The gaming would require, if that makes sense. And ultimately, at the end of the day, you don't want to have, from a platform perspective, you don't want to have a platform that's just a gaming platform if you want people to come in and actually build on it and use it. You also want it to be able to handle logistics. You want it to be able to handle medtech. You want it to be able to handle education. You want it to be able to handle all of these things. Now, keep in mind, we're not building these things. Okay, all we're doing is creating the environment upon which they can be built in a way that is far more friendly and approachable than what currently exists in the blockchain space.
Okay. So, I don't have anything for that.
All right, you can, man. You can kick back at it. You can criticize it if you want. You can.
No, I'm actually, because I have a number of questions. I'm trying to figure out where to put. I did get some. In fact, I just typed up one as you're doing that, but I want to group it with my other questions. So I'm just going to move to my other one right now, because we're still talking about Gala Games, who you are, why you are where you are right now. But I do want to get to the games a little bit. Some new games have been coming out recently.
Mm-hmm.
Are they actually deployed? I think the Legacy one, is that one out now?
Yeah, Legacy's out.
So I'm really looking to see what new games can we expect to see coming down the pike in the next few months at Gala.
It's going to be a busy month.
Are you just saying that?
Oh no.
Okay, because I don't know, some people who shall not be named has said that this is the year of show me. He wants to see.
Okay. Fuck yes, it is.
Okay.
Fuck yes, it is.
So are you saving all this shit for Christmas time or something? I mean, is it
it's
tax
not
reasons at the beginning of the new year?
No, of course not. What it really is like you said, it is very much the year of show me. Yeah, EPX is coming out here very, very soon. We're delivering on this stuff. We're getting it out there so that we can iterate and improve on it. And it's a tremendous amount, but the more we get out there, the better it is and the easier it is. Just to put it this way, when we launched Spider Tanks a little over a year ago, it was all hands on deck. Okay, absolutely all hands on deck to get the chain integration complete, to handle all the chain code, to deploy all the assets, to get all the bridges set up. It was literally an all hands on deck thing. Okay, and it took weeks and weeks and weeks of concerted focus for the basically entire company to get to that point. Do you know how many engineers it takes now to handle the chain integration for one game that we've had the team building correctly?
One. All right, that was a good guess.
Yeah, very good guess. But that's really a critical thing, because the team, and we've gotten much better with the documentation. We can send stuff to a team builds stuff to suit. We make sure that we have all of the endpoints ready for them. They come in, they integrate. It's a fairly seamless process, and we're able to then push things out there and get them moving.
Okay, okay. So well, you do have a number of games coming out, and I do see Superior is out in some sort of playable demo. Spider Tanks, of course, is out. There seems to be a little controversy about those two specific games.
Yes.
For Spider Tanks, I know people are asking where are the people playing these games, and I think there might be some lawsuits for a couple of them.
There is no lawsuit, at least nobody's ever told me about regarding Spider Tanks. There is one that people have clocked regarding Superior, and of course, because it is a lawsuit, I can't talk about it, unfortunately.
Stop being evasive.
I'm tap dancing. I'm tap dancing around.
Okay. You're tap dancing around.
Sorry.
Can you explain? Can you explain why you can't comment on certain things like this? I'm really trying to educate this, because it frankly, it annoys me that people will be like, got him on Twitter. He won't answer this question about this lawsuit. It's like, no shit, Sherlock. Who the fuck would? What company would?
No company ever would. So here's one of the interesting things is I am an insanely big believer in the Web3 ethos and decentralization and all of these things. However, companies still have to follow laws. Officers of companies still have to follow laws. And just because somebody wants me to say something doesn't mean that I can, regardless of whether or not I want to. I had a whole exchange with Old Man Smithers today on Twitter about this specifically. And he just completely missed what I was getting at there with it. But when you say something in a certain way, okay, people will draw a certain conclusion from it. Now, obviously, we always want to tell people everything that we possibly can, but we can't tell people everything that they want to know, because A, the desire for knowledge is limitless, okay? And B, it would be a massive legal problem for me to do so. So, for example, take a lawsuit, right? Any company, any officer of that company will not comment on lawsuits. Okay. They can't comment on lawsuits, because if they comment on a lawsuit, what happens is the opposing side takes that comment, goes to the judge and says they commented on the lawsuit in an attempt to sway public opinion. Okay. And then the judge slaps a penalty on either the individual or the company that has made the comment. Okay. So you just can't talk about it. You just can't, as much as you would like to, okay? As much as you'd like to say, oh, well, whatever, this is the situation, this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. Once it's part of the legal system, it's very specifically not the court of public opinion, which means that you can't make it the court of public opinion and talk about it, no matter how much the community wants it to be.
Well, one thing that I like to mention that people seem to ignore a lot is that when you're a game developer or software developer, or even working in the music world, that lawsuits are actually the cost of doing business. That happens
Yes,
all the time
all the
because
freaking time.
you're always dealing with like previous IP, disgruntled workers. You're dealing with, I mean, just all sorts of stuff that
Yeah, there's always suits and countersuits. Jay Soto asked, is it a lawsuit from the game developers? There's multiple lawsuits. There's a suit and a countersuit there. And it's a pretty normal thing. It's not a fun thing. It's not a pleasant thing. I wish it wasn't the thing. But in the litigious society in which we live, it is a thing. And it is what it is. And not much more I can say about it, really.
So that's just what I keep trying to let people know, that lawsuits are a cost of doing business in the game development world.
It's not just the game development world. It's a cost of doing business in the world. If you are doing business, you are encountering this.
In fact, the more money you make, probably the more you get.
It gets worse and worse and worse. I mean, if you want to see something crazy, just go pick any big company that you are interested in looking at and just look at the number of lawsuits that are filed. I mean, you pick, I'm not going to name any companies, but like you'll see crazy lawsuits that range from, weird things like somebody spilled coffee on themselves or slipped and fell to, things that are much larger business issues. It's just a normal thing. It's part of business in the way that our business world has been constructed.
Okay. So anyway, you do have a number of games out right now.
Yeah.
Let me jump down to actually, I'm starting to see some competitors to Gala Games, or at least people who identify themselves as competitors, which I guess is a good thing if you're in the lead. Playable, Myria. I think there's another one that I forgot. Myria, I think, is the one that has an outright Townstar clone, if I'm not mistaken.
When they first deployed their website, they literally took the copy directly from our website. It was kind of fun. Yeah.
So
what can I say about that? It's just one of those things. It's just one of those things. When you do something and you've been successful at it, which we undoubtedly have, there are going to be people that pop up, and there are going to be people that pop up and say, and this is always fun to watch, where they come and they say, you guys did this thing and you sucked. It sucked. It was shit. We're going to do it better. And then, maybe for a little bit they do. And it's always fun to watch the exigencies of actually running a business, creep up.
Yes, it's how long can you stay around? And it seems to me that the next up and comer is what everybody's going at. Playable seems to be getting a lot of attention from certain people, including Titan. And to me, it's like, well, they're just starting out. What makes them any different than Gala Games? And they'll say, well, they're better than Gala Games because of this. They're better than Gala Games because of that. Well, they have a different angle. Let's see who's more successful. But
and nothing against any of these companies, by the way, guys. I mean, you can have multiple companies. There's a concept, called the fast follow, where if you see something successful, you will do that thing with a slight twist on it. Okay. You see it in gaming all the time. Game X is successful, so we're going to make game X plus a little bit of something different. That's our own little secret sauce. And, that's what we're going to do, and so like you see stuff like that all the freaking time. And so I don't begrudge people necessarily saying like, oh, we have something better. We're going to try this different model. We're going to take your model. We're going to tweak it and try something else. That's fine. I don't care. What I don't like in the space is, sort of tribalism. I don't think that it is necessary to tear other people down in order for your project to succeed. If your project is going to succeed, let it succeed on its own merits. That said, I will call a crappy game when I see one, because, it's a crappy game and you should call it such. And I call our own games crappy too. So don't I'm not a huge Townstar fan, and I've talked about that at length before. So,
Well, since we're talking about Townstar, or now Common Ground World, so Common Ground World has been around. It's been renamed from Townstar.
Yep.
And I played Townstar a lot when you had the NFTs that earned, but
Yeah.
it seems now, they turned that off after a while.
Yeah, it was like a year and a half ago now, way too freaking long ago.
And it was supposed to be just something temporary.
It is temporary. It's still coming back. It's just been, it's so in order to have it, how do I put this? Everybody's familiar with a Gantt chart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what a Gantt chart is.
It's like a project management kind of chart. Yes.
Yeah. So with a Gantt chart, you have sort of waterfall priorities, right? And waterfall dependencies rather. So you can't do item 2 until item 1 is done. You can't do item 1 until the thing before that is done. It's really, really frustrating to have something and then discover like, okay, we turned off earnings. Okay, so in a little bit, we're going to do this thing and then we're going to turn earnings back on. Okay, we turned off earning in Townstar prior to the launch of Spider Tanks. Okay, now one of the dependencies, okay, in order to turn earnings back on was to have actual NFTs. Okay, because one of the problems that we were running into, and one of the things that was pissing the community off the most, was the fact that people would take a fungible token and they'd make 10 accounts and they'd move that fungible token from account to account to account to account. And because it's a fungible token, there's not really a way that you can track it, right? Because one wheat stand looks the same as any other wheat stand because it has the same token.
You mean
ID.
You guys are admitting it's a fungible token now?
I've always said it was a fungible token.
I know.
Oh, that's right. Shit, it's a Titan gotcha. God damn it.
Well, it's like, well, I don't know how they claim that these are NFTs when this one's obviously fungible. So, okay.
Yeah. So
there's roots behind that, which is why you chose fungibility, which I seem to recall had something about transferring multiples of the same type to same
exactly, because the ERC 1155, what the ERC 1155 token standard allows you to do is send transactions with multiple token IDs in it, which was specifically set up in Townstar for crypto crafting. Okay, so you could build a crane bot, right? Now, the idea here behind all of this is you have all of these fungible things because you have the token contract set up that way. Okay. And you don't want to have to build in multiple token IDs for every single one of those. You want to just have, this is a wheat stand. So we did all of this on Ethereum. Okay. We realized this sucks. The town token doesn't work. We haven't been able to get the syncs in time. None of it is going the way that we want it to. And all that's going to happen is you're going to end up with a, slowly dying pile of pain and misery. That sucks. It sucks for everybody, right? So what we did at that point in time is saying, okay, we're going to turn off earnings and then we're going to turn these things into actual NFTs. Now, we can't actually turn them into actual NFTs until we have Gala Chain up and running. So it's blocked behind Gala Chain. Okay, great. So we get to that point in time. Then it's blocked behind the next thing. It's blocked behind the token migration for everything. And so now, literally, just the last couple weeks, that has now completed. So you can now move your NFTs from Ethereum to Gala Chain, where there will be actual non-fungible tokens on Gala Chain. Okay. Now, the next step of this is then turning things back on. Okay. And you've been seeing the team, they've released some of the economic papers. We did a light paper read through. It's definitely a thing that is coming. It's just been blocked behind dependency after dependency after dependency. And, while I understand how do I put it? Well, I understand the community sentiment that Townstar was your first game, you should drop everything and focus on Townstar. Why would you do another game when you can't get the first fucking one right? The number of times that I've heard that in Discord blows my mind. And so, however, and this is where this is interesting, is if we were to focus on that, okay, and drop everything and focus on Townstar, we have all of these contracts set up for other games that are supposed to be shipping that we would then have to delay, okay, push off, and say, okay, we're focusing on Townstar now. And then now we are suddenly having a problem with this particular developer because they decide that we're in breach because we're not shipping their game fast enough.
Okay, so I'm gonna make sure we stay on topic with community expectations.
Sure.
And I'll say company expectations. And okay, so fine, you're doing this, you're changing direction as you need to because you're doing this.
Well, you have to. You're doing business.
Well, the community is, and just let me get this one out here. The community, it seems to me, seems to think that you guys have to have this waterfall process, that you have to have it figured all out in a roadmap all the way down, and bam, 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 we're going to hit all these things, and then everything's going to be fine. But then if you ever have to change direction, it's like, what the fuck? You guys even know what you're doing? Why are you changing what you're doing all the time? Do you even know what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And to me, that says it's about community expectations. One, this is a rhetorical question. Why is the community expecting this? And two, what are you hoping to get across to the community? Because I understand that you're being very clear about, look, we have to change direction, but the community has a real problem with that, even though they want it.
So the analogy that I would give is this. You ever gone on a long road trip, right? You're going to drive across the country, right? Have you ever done like a really, really long road trip? Right. So you do that really long road trip. Now, if you're like me, okay, you plan roughly when you're going to depart and when you're going to stop, okay, for the night, okay? Or maybe you're not, right? Maybe you're just going to push through, but you still, especially if you have kids, you like have to figure certain things out along the way, right? And so you depart from point A and you set off bravely towards point B, okay? And you've only been on the highway for 15 minutes when, you know, some jackass who hasn't been changing their tires has a catastrophic blowout and ends up blocking one lane. Okay, fine. So now things are slowed down, right? And then you drive for another 45 minutes after you sit in traffic for 20 minutes waiting to get past that guy, and you come across a road crew. Okay, now you looked at Google Maps when you left and it said it was going to take you this amount of time to get there, but Google Maps didn't know that they were going to be doing a repaving project that started an hour after you left.
Or that Ethereum fees are going to go through the roof.
No, gas fees, gas fees could go really, really high. You may have a tire blowout, you may have car trouble, you may have, like my daughter, traveling with my daughter is an endless joy because she's a puker. And, you know, so we'll be driving. Everything's fine. I go around a turn with just a little bit more rambunctious energy than maybe I should. And she's back there in her car seat throwing up grapes across the entire car. And then what do you have to do? You have to pull over on the side of the road, dealing with the crying kid, you know, scooping the bit of half-chewed grapes up. And she really should chew better.
Doesn't that show that you're incompetent, though?
I am terribly incompetent. It is true.
Apparently you can't drive. I mean, if she's going to throw up.
Yeah, and so that's the thing that's interesting. Now imagine live streaming a road trip, okay? And then let's say you've got all your viewers who are viewing your road trip. And then you say that you know, I'm going to leave here, you know, by this time I'm going to be in Richmond, or by this time I'm going to be in wherever, right? And then you're not. And they're looking at your planned itinerary, okay, your road map, okay, and saying, well, you said that at 2 p.m. you were going to be in Richmond, okay? It's 12:40 and you're 4 hours away from Richmond at least. What the fuck is wrong with you, you incompetent person? How dare you? Okay? And the reality is that you don't necessarily control even most of the things that determine whether you're going to get to Richmond on time. You have an intention, you work towards that to the best of your abilities, but at the end of the day, you know, you have to make multiple judgment calls along the way. When you're in traffic, which lane should I be in, right? This lane seems like it's going to go faster. I'm going to get in that one. Now I'm stuck behind a cattle truck. And like, it's actually, when you think about it, it's a great analogy. Except with a large company, you have 400 people all trying to make that drive at the same time. It gets really complex.
So, okay, so I see the detractors actually as kids that are in the back of the truck or back of the car, sticking their heads out the windows, screaming, "Why aren't we there yet?
Are we there yet?"
Now, generally, to me, that seems kind of, you know, cry me a river, but I can see from the point of view that some of the NFTs
could can I address CryptoView for a second?
Okay.
Do that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. CryptoView says, but the core of the
point
point should not be that you change on your trip, your car, or the endpoint, or your passengers. Okay, maybe your passengers. Okay, but how many times have you picked up a rental car and had that fucking thing blow a tire and suddenly you have to get a new rental? Okay, how many times have you thought that I'm going to end my trip in this particular city and you're still 4 hours away, and so you have to stop and get a hotel in another city because you have, again, puking kids? Okay, all sorts of crap changes along the way. Okay, if you don't think that things change along the way, then you've never taken a gigantic car trip. And doing this is infinitely more complex.
Well, let's dovetail into this, because I was about to say so part of working with Gala Games, or getting buying things from Gala Games, is buying these NFTs, and some of them are really, 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 really expensive. So you have some for were $10, $100. Now, I mean, they went to tens of thousands.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Now, the way that the pricing was done was, in my view, was taking advantage of the demand. Now, of course,
sure,
when things are that expensive, people bitch a lot more. I see the NFTs a lot, to be honest, like the Tesla Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Because the Tesla Cybertruck likely had pre-orders, and it's been taking a long time to come out. And there's been,
I pre-ordered. I put my $100 in to pre-order a Cybertruck. I haven't heard anything since 2019. So yeah, I hear you.
So why aren't people taking Elon to task the same way?
They are. They absolutely are.
Okay.
He just doesn't give a shit. He doesn't talk to people. Like it would be very difficult to have and I would love it if this happened. I would love to have a conversation with or to see Elon have a conversation like this, to have Elon sit there in Discord and engage with a bunch of people that think that he's a crook and has intentionally delayed the Cybertruck just to piss them off.
I don't think he could sit still long enough. He's too rich.
No, he's too busy
to be criticized. Okay, so that's important, but the very fact that there are a lot of expensive NFTs out there and stuff like that causes people to get quite a bit more salty, because there's a lot of money on the line. I mean, NFTs have literally sold for tens of thousands of dollars.
Of course,
and they're expecting, at the very least, tens of thousands of dollars of fun out of that. And the reason I got into Gala Games NFTs is I imagined an ecosystem that would come about, and this shit would just start snowballing, and it would get really, really interesting, exciting, and gaming could be almost it would be more than gaming is right now. I mean, you could make a lot of money at it. You could build a lot of stuff online that you couldn't build previously. You can have
that's the vision, of course.
Certain types of value transactions that you could never have right now.
Of course.
So where I'm leading with that is, what is Gala Games expecting when you offer NFTs that are that expensive, and you have games that you have a lot of stuff with a lot of money and importance going on? How are you expecting to present this stuff? Because I'm not sure if people really asked that before. I think
nobody's ever asked that.
That things aren't done.
They enjoy complaining. And I get it too, by the way. I don't have a problem with the complaining. I have a problem with the complaining when it becomes just useless whinging and nobody wants to have a conversation. They just want to complain. But I don't have a problem
when it gets personal, because it's like,
that is a problem,
get a fucking life, in my opinion.
So what is our expectation? To be honest, our expectation was very much aligned with that. And it's one of those things that, there was no point in time at which, we sold something and thought like, ha ha ha, people bought this, what the fuck? It was more like, hey, we have this vision, this great thing is going on, and we've also said these things, and we have to do the things that are in alignment with that. And, for example, saying that we're not going to sell stuff cheaper than the previous stuff that was sold. Okay, that was the thing at one point in time that we had said. Okay. And so that was one of the things that led to that sort of march. On top of that, you have, you know, people within the community themselves demanding sometimes that things be priced higher. You know, when the potion stand sold out in like seconds and we had to spend almost as much as the revenue from the potion stands in refunding in gas fees, you know, it's like, okay, well, maybe we're going to charge a higher price and maybe fewer people will buy them, you know, because we're not going to mess with the supply because that breaks the game. You know, so you had this really crappy situation that led to this sort of advance and march in pricing that turned very negative in my mind in the long run. And all of this happened at the absolute insane, crazy bull market peak, okay, of the last bull cycle. And everything was insanely expensive then. Everything was. It wasn't just us. It was people were selling stuff for tons all over the place.
Decentraland, Splinterlands. I mean, they were
sometimes that they weren't as they weren't priced as high. Yes, our stuff was always kind of on the high end of things, and I will 100% admit that. But everything was selling for much higher prices. And then, you know, 2 years later, yes, it's you know, people are not selling things for that amount because the market won't support it any longer. And everything, the entire industry is down like 95%. You know, so that's not just an us thing, that's an everyone thing.
And had you priced each of your bits of land at $100 a piece, they'd all be sold instantly. Yep. Probably to a single person, because
yep.
I was rather annoyed when the Miranda stuff was selling, and
Stables? You wanted a stable and you didn't get a stable?
No, potion shops. I'm really still angry at a certain person who I will not name, who sniped a whole bunch of potion shops. I got some, and what I did when I did it is I was like, oh, I'll buy some potion shops, and then I refreshed the screen, and half of them were gone. It's like, yep. I could have typed in a much higher number and bought a whole shitload more, but I'm like, you know, yep. people need an opportunity to get these things. And so I kind of feel if everything had been charged at $5, it would all be gone. It would be to one person.
It would be, yeah.
It'd be, so I see how you guys have adapted as things have been going on, but there is room to say, have you guys been adapting how much you would make off of these things? I mean, well, at one time, the next item was more expensive than the previous item, and you probably were saying that because you wouldn't be able to sell them. You wouldn't be able to sell them to multiple people if they were not higher priced. But it just seems excessive for a game, for game.
Oh, I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. And you know, when that was happening, it wasn't a thing that I was particularly happy about. I understood how we had gotten to that point. But ultimately, like, there was no gun to anyone's head forcing them to buy stuff.
And that's you know, especially when those nodes were selling and you guys started raising the prices on the nodes, some people were saying, well, they're just trying to scam people out of more and more money, but the demand was there. And it's like, how are you scamming if you're raising the price in a very predictable way in response to the demand?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So I was just looking at the YouTube chat. I'm going to blow my nose and turn my camera off and mute myself for just a second because I can't breathe. I'll be back in 1 second.
Because you're getting nervous. I get it.
It's very nervous. I'm very nervous. You've really put the irons to me. 1 second.
That's what I thought. Okay, so as I was saying about Bitbender, yeah, he was. I got him running scared. I mean, I'm asking him some really hard questions in a nice way. And I think he's having a problem keeping up. I think he's gone off in another room to like breathe heavy, to breathe slower or something like that. That must be it. Oh, hey, what's going on? Nice.
Definitely with the slow breathing.
Okay, slow breathing. Yes, that really helps. Okay, so okay, what's this? I had questions about NFTs. We got to really move things forward. So the concept behind NFT ownership should be straightforward. If you buy the NFT, now you own a piece of the game. However, Oh,
Do
I
you
don't.
own
Okay,
you own an
what do you
item in
own?
the game? You
Okay,
don't
you
own
own
a
an
piece
item.
of the game.
Well, you own
I
an
don't.
item that depends on the game, right? Let's say you own an
Maybe
item.
you do own
Okay.
an item.
Well, it seems even with Gala Games that NFT ownership might not be what it seems. The pictures on the NFTs can change. The individual NFTs can be banned. You can change their behavior in the application.
That's true with any game.
Okay. So what do you really
Axie
have
does
when
that
you?
all the time. Like if
Okay.
your Axie is hacked, they'll completely nerf your Axie on chain.
Your individual Axie?
Yeah, go look at their
Hmm.
marketplace.
Okay,
They'll
this
block
is
them. This is like metadata. Okay, is something that can be updated because it's not actually a thing that's on chain. It's something that's pointed to somewhere else, be that IPFS or somewhere else. Images, obviously, images can be updated. You see this with NFTs all the time. What you don't typically see this with is when you have an NFT project that's a static thing. That's like, here's a PFP. This is the stuff that's all written in, and nothing here can ever change. And
well,
we've paid for pinning forever, but then also you have projects that just die and the NFTs all like vanish. I've got a bunch of NFTs in my wallet that used to be things and are no longer.
well, what do you own then when you're buying an NFT? What are you actually owning? Why do you buy it?
Because it's yours at that point in time. So you an NFT
It.
in the game,
Well,
right?
the it part of that is the question. What is it? What is yours?
Well, it depends on the specific. Yeah, hold on. I'm tap dancing around this. 1 second. Let me find a better way
Stop
to tap
fucking
dance
tap
around.
dancing, dude. Okay.
So when you're talking about an NFT in a game, okay, you're looking at typically either some sort of item or property or whatever feature inside of that game. Your ownership of that NFT, the way it works is that your game client typically will unlock access to certain in-game assets based on the presence of that NFT within your wallet. So that's what you get. It's a key that unlocks access.
Okay. Is it property?
It could be. The NFT itself is in property. Do you own it?
I don't know.
Well,
Well, maybe
you do, yes.
Okay. Well, that means if you don't print up a clone of that property later, if I have this potion shop, and maybe I have, I don't know, all 500 of them.
I will physically like beat McCarthy with a stick if he decides to make more potion shops.
Okay. Well, I still have a couple left, but okay. So that's what I wanted to get at is when you own something and you might go in a game and change its behavior due to game balance.
Yeah,
It's
sure.
like that's why I was asking, what the heck do you own? Something that I don't know if you can hear the meowing.
I definitely can.
Who's,
I love cats.
Very annoyed that I'm not petting her, but she's not. She's too far away. Anyway, but
So it's
the
okay.
NFTs can change.
Your cat is just a community critic. They just stand at a distance and yell at you, and then you open the door and they like look at the door and they look up at you and then they look at the door and then they turn around and walk the other direction. It's normal.
So okay, fine. So I'm buying this NFT. You can change how this NFT works and stuff like that. I had imagined land actually being like when I bought land in Mirandus. I bought something in Mirandus, a few pieces of land. I was imagining something like a new mall opening up like down, a couple miles away where they're clearing all this land so they can have all these shops and they could be an economic center. You can have a lot of shit going on there, and it can all sorts of stuff. I was imagining all sorts of new things that you can do in video games that happen in the real world that I'd like to see. Boy, I'd like to be proud that I own some houses.
Yes. Of course.
I'd like to be proud that I own shops and stuff like that. And so that's how I saw land.
No, I don't think you're incorrect in that. That's
the problem
plan.
But the problem is the land is company land. It's not like I'm buying just land out there that any company can use. I'm buying, well, it's Gala Games land, right? That I'm buying. I mean, if I didn't have a Miranda's land, if I bought that, you're giving me the sad face.
It's not the sad face. It's the I'm trying to see where you're going with. I mean, like does that land, does the item that you purchase from Miranda's depend on Miranda's existing in order for you to have that item? Is that the question? Like, of course it does.
What if it goes away? What if Gala Games? What if Gala Games said, you know what, Miranda's is not doing it for us. We're going to sell it to EA. Now it's like
that would be a very interesting thing. I feel like that would probably not happen. But you know, for us, when we look at these sorts of things, you know, that land in Miranda's, that is what it should be. Is it a land that magically works in all games? No. Is it land that if, you know, the internet dies, that still works? No. Is it a land that, you know, if Ethereum you know, completely dies prior to bridging, that works? No. But, you know, like, there's infinite caveats, of course, but that doesn't stop it from being the intent.
Okay. Speaking of bridging, since you keep bringing that up,
yeah,
is Gala Chain like Ethereum? Is it better? Is it different? Because
it's very different.
Because it seems like right now, if I were to have some land, maybe I do want to sell it and get rid of it.
Yep.
I'd have to make sure it was on Ethereum first. And I'm going to have to pay all these bridging fees to get it over to Ethereum.
That's for right now, just because Gala Chain hasn't been fully released for public development yet.
And you could also lock that to where I couldn't get it to Ethereum if you didn't want me to, right? Isn't that the case with some Spider Tank stuff?
You have to lock your own items.
Okay.
So in order for you to use an NFT in some games, Champions Arena and Spider Tanks are two of them, you have to lock them. But you're locking them yourself. It's not us locking them.
So you can unlock them though, I'm assuming.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. It's yours. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care.
Okay. So I'm just hitting around. I have a number of other things, so I'm going to move on. All right. I'm very interested in land and shops and stuff in Miranda's because I want to see a thriving ecosystem and I want to see the stuff branching out more. And so I'm going to just read what I've written here. Faz Radio tries to focus on education and discourse, respectable discourse on crypto, from a couple widely different angles, my angle and Titan's angle. How can others collaborate with Gala Games to get a better understanding and engagement in crypto gaming? Because it seems like there's a lot of people at odds that they seem to think that they know how you should be doing things.
Yes.
And
we have a big back seat with lots of drivers in it.
And I don't always hear just me. I don't hear very clear directives from Gala Games saying, this is where we're going. This is the charge that we're leading. We're going to make this happen in games. Or maybe you have said it and I didn't get it.
The problem, no, it's not that we've said it. It's that there's so much going on that it is sometimes difficult to capture the signal in amongst the noise. Because we do have so much going on that sometimes we're not always good at conveying that correctly.
Because I think the community really wants to plug into what you're doing and work with you and even help amplify that stuff. Like the Gala Collective is starting to try and do that stuff.
Yeah, talked to Forged in Crypto just yesterday about
they just want. I mean, a lot of people in the community want to start running with the ball that you've thrown.
Yeah.
And it seems like you guys are kind of like, okay, we got this going. Let's put this down. And in my opinion, I don't really think you should. I think the Gala Collective or a community group should lead the charge a lot more than just one company. Personally.
Oh, I agree. Absolutely, I agree. This is the crux of what we've been working on in terms of getting Gala Chain out there for development. When we built it, it was built as an internal project. What we've spent the last year doing is preparing everything to go open source, preparing the documentation, preparing all of the API endpoints, preparing everything so that it can be pushed out there so other people can build in it. Forged in Crypto and his team were building on it during the hackathon during Thanksgiving week. And his team were the ones that won for creating a locking and delegation contract for Founders Node licenses. We had another team that built a chain link competitor RNG on Gala Chain. We had just a tremendous number of really cool things happening, and for us, we don't want to build everything. I definitely don't want us to build everything, because building things is a pain in the ass. Okay, what I would love to do is create an opportunity, create this ecosystem, okay, that anyone can come in and, to use your land analogy, to stake out a plot of land. And if you want to design and build a potion shop, okay, then you should be able to do that. That's what I want you to be able to do. If you want to, build a contract that handles DeFi, that's what I want you to be able to do. If you want to come in and, build whatever it is that you want to build, I want you to be able to build it. And what we have now, and what we're in the process of pushing out more and more day by day, is an entire toolbox that people can use to build these things. You're like pushing things out in terms of, all of the getting the public repos set up, making it so that anyone can come in and build, having more hackathons, reaching out to university campuses and getting teams there building on things. We're doing so much to get things out there. And for a long time, yes, we have been the ones that have been, sort of advancing this. But at the end of the day, it's not us, it's us. And that includes you, and that includes everyone watching. That even includes the people. It's like, you can't have, Thanksgiving dinner without your asshole uncle screaming at you from the other side of the table about, his political views. This is, and it doesn't matter what side they are. They're just silly political views because he's your asshole uncle.
Not naming names.
And so, but that's the thing, is it's all of us together in this. It's not Gala, it's all of us. It's the community and the ecosystem together at the end of the day.
Okay. Because I see, like I said, I see a lot of people wanting to build content for this. One guy is Rostakip. I don't know if you've seen.
Love Rostakip. Of course, I've seen Rostakip stuff. Rostakip makes amazing stuff
that can look at your spider tank stuff and gives you all sorts of details.
Yep.
I've talked to a number of people who've been trying to build on Gala Games API and stuff like that.
Yep.
And of course they have. I'm not talking about Rostakip, but they have criticisms as well in a similar way. How come Gala isn't telling us more? How come, if they really want us to do that, why are they making it so hard? Do they want to do it themselves? Blah, blah, blah. So I see a lot of people wanting to build on what Gala is doing.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm like, okay, what's your, okay, so you've said your vision, but how's this going to happen? Or when is this going to happen soon? Or are we just
happening right now, man?
This
is happening right now. We're in the process of shipping this stuff right now. You saw just a couple weeks ago that the Gala Chain website went live. You saw the hackathon happen. You're going to see more and more and more of this. We're pushing hard on this right now.
Okay.
In
so
ways
if you have.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So if you have a bunch of APIs that are going to come out, what about documentation? Because when I think of documentation for APIs, I'm thinking, I'm a software developer, Microsoft software developer. I go to Microsoft's website and I look at how to use their APIs, all the documentation on it. Are you guys going to have something like that? Please say yes.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Don't lie. No tap dancing.
No. He said there was going to be documentation, and this piece of documentation isn't there. This is bullshit. How dare he? No, there we have. I was looking at a frickin' Figma that had probably 80 to probably close to 80, I would say. I'm just thinking because I don't actually even know the number. Pieces of documentation laid out on it for, all of the different things, pages and pages and pages of the shit. All to be, deployed. There's a lot going on there.
Okay. So does that mean that part of your company, part of Gala Games is actually going to be very focused on software development, kind of like Microsoft is. They have Windows,
of course,
but they have the .NET framework and they have all these other tools. So you're going to be.
What did you think we were doing?
I'm just making this clear. I asked dumb questions because I want it to be clear that's like, no, Bitbender actually fucking said this. So I can pin you down a year and a half. I can play this video again.
Sure.
Look at that asshole, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's all.
Of course, that's a huge part of what we do. The chain, node, and platform team. In my document, and it's the Gala chain ecosystem blueprint that's probably going to be released next week, maybe the week after. I'm not sure. Next week is a really freaking busy week because we have the impending launch of the Gala music token and all sorts of stuff going on there. And I don't know if I want to throw those two things together, but maybe fuck it. Maybe we'll just do it all at once. I call it the triumvirate of awesome, where you have chain, node, and platform all working together. We have tons of self-service tools in the back end. We have one of the guys that was in the hackathon.
Release some. I want to use some.
Yeah, I'm getting them. We're getting them out there for you guys.
You're gonna have an app store like Google?
Well, I mean, sorta. That's one of the things that's actually happening on Rep that Rep is doing.
Okay.
Where they call it a widget store, but yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I interrupted you there.
No. I mean, I'm just saying that there's like so freaking much going on right now that it is. I can't wait for people to see what we've got going.
Okay. Okay. This is the year of Show Me. All right. I'm going to move on to another subject.
Well, this is the year of show me some stuff. Next year is the real year of show me.
Well, did you say? Well, I don't remember. What did you say last year? Did you say that this year was the year?
I think somebody else said that. I think that we said that this was the year where we were focusing on delivering on our promises. I believe was the phrase that was used. I'm sure that as I say this, there's a bunch of people who are going to go search and find out. And,
Titan will be here on the 31st going through stuff, so you'll see. Anyway,
perfect.
Moving on. I want to get into company working since we're talking about you being software developer and you're putting out APIs, and I like hearing that you're going to be a leader in that area of the Web3 world.
That's
so crypto industry is very dynamic. It changes at the drop of a hat, and I don't know why I wrote that lead in because it's kind of stupid. Crypto is also very depressed. Crypto is very depressed right now, but it's starting to come back. So I asked this. We talked to Michael Wagner a couple weeks ago from Star Atlas, and basically I asked him some intrusive questions about the company, and he was only too happy to answer. Could you answer some?
It depends on what they are, but maybe.
Okay. So
let's see what happens.
Well, okay. How's Gala Games doing? How much money are you making?
How much money are we making? I actually don't know that number. You can see when we do liquidations, they all come out of the same wallet. So that's a thing that everybody can see. I just don't happen to know what the number is. I know our cash burn right now is something in the neighborhood of 12 million a month, if I remember correctly, USD.
So supporting all your development efforts, and publishing,
and our internal games and marketing and all of that is all part of that. So right now, in terms of sales, obviously that is not bad market for that right now, and we're not focusing on that in a huge extent right now. It's more about building. It's more about building and getting things out there and ready to go.
Okay, so I mean, are you guys solvent? I mean, are you guys going to be around for a while?
Yeah, we're not going anywhere.
All right. Well, you have a lot of people that are. So I see a lot of people very interested in what Gala Games is doing. They really like it, and that's when you get a lot of the criticism because they're like, Gala Games has a good thing, they're fucking it up. And my retort usually is, oh, so you've run a multi-million-dollar company, you know what it's like? And if they're like, well, of course not. But if I did, it's like, but if you did, you'd be shaking in your fucking boots because you wouldn't be able to make those decisions. Because every decision you make is $1 million decision. Will it work or won't it? So
sometimes they're way more than $1 million. Some of those are some pretty gnarly decisions, I'll tell you what.
So Michael Wagner of Star Atlas was telling me that they had to lay off a bunch of people. They have a fair amount of turnover going on. I mean, do you guys have turnover? How do you guys position yourself regarding that?
Of course we have turnover. I mean, there's no such thing as a company that doesn't have turnover. Okay, like that's a silly thing to even consider. Companies have people that come, people that go. Sometimes it's they go because they've moved on to other things. I just today, one of the community actually yesterday, one of the community moderators reached out to me. He just got offered his dream job in the area that he studied for, working for his local government. And he's like, I think I'm going to take it. And it's like, great, man. That's fantastic. You know, it has nothing to do with, you know, not liking your job or anything like that. Sometimes you find something that you really want to do and you go for it. You know, sometimes you have kids and you have to dial things back. Sometimes things go sideways and you have to be let go. It's a thing that happens. You know, sometimes there's position redundancy and you have to let people go.
Well, sometimes you have to reconfigure because this is a depressed market as well, right?
We thus far haven't had to do that.
So Michael Wagner was saying he had to let go of a bunch of people because they estimated a certain amount. Crypto became worth a lot less. Then they realized, wow, we spent a lot of this money. We don't have as much money. We're going to have to cut these people so we can stay in business. Are you guys doing the same kind of stuff? Do you have the same kind of challenges going on?
I mean, everybody has those types of challenges. I know that they had to it was like more than 70% go, wasn't it? It was like some giant number.
It was a giant number. Yeah.
It was a giant number. We have, last I checked, 2 more people than we did 6 months ago. Now,
what about 1 year ago or 2 years ago? I mean,
we're still up. We're still way up from 2 years ago, from 1 year ago.
Didn't you have 400 employees at one time or something?
We still have 412 now, I think. I think we were down.
I keep hearing people saying that Gala doesn't have people are just leaving left and right. Gala doesn't have very many people working for them.
Let me tell you right now. Okay,
we're doing numbers here.
This second, if we're doing numbers, granted, let me see here.
While you're looking that up, I can
try to find the damn thing. Here it is. I found what I was going for.
Okay.
So I don't. Oh, actually, on the frickin' nose. So right now in our internal company Slack, and I only know of one person in here that is not an employee, although they work very closely with us. We have 412. 412 people in our Slack active accounts that have logged in the last day.
Okay. So we're at an hour. I'm going to give you a chance to escape now with asking my last question. But if you want to stay longer, then I'll ask some other questions after my last question.
I can probably do a few more minutes.
Okay. So, this is about transparency because we were just talking about numbers and stuff like that. How transparent should you be? I mean, because people are, people with three initials in their are certainly complaining that certain companies that they like or maybe dislike or whatever aren't transparent enough. And I'm like, okay, how each company is differently transparent. Star Atlas was quite transparent when we asked about numbers, and you said earlier beforehand nobody's ever asked us about numbers.
No, nobody's ever out. As far as I know. Okay, now granted, just before somebody goes and takes screenshots, I have not read every single message that's ever been posted in our Discord. So somebody could potentially have made that. So if you're going to screenshot that shit and put it in a tweet and say, well, Bitbender said nobody's ever asked about numbers, and this person asked about numbers on July 17th of 2022. How dare he? So nobody has ever said, hey, Jason, give me these numbers that I can recall at this point in time.
So what I'm trying to get to is, how transparent do you think you need to be? Because everybody has a different.
I want to be I am a big believer in transparency. Okay, that's one of the reasons that I even can come and talk.
That's why you're talking to me right now.
So I'm talking to you, okay? Because if I didn't believe in transparency, do you know what I would be doing at 6 p.m. on a Friday night? I'd be downstairs, like having a tea party with my daughter or something like that. Not, sitting here talking to you guys and watching, the comment section of a YouTube. And so that's I'm a huge believer in transparency. That said, I do still work for a company, and that means that because of a variety of things like confidentiality, like privacy laws, like, all sorts of different esoteric laws in different countries that we have to keep in mind. There's just some stuff I can't say, and it's not because I don't want to say it. If I could, like, I'd just like, live stream and blab that shit out, but I can't, so I won't.
Okay.
You be as transparent as you possibly can within the limits of what you are legally and ethically bound to be.
Well, personally, whenever whenever these questions come up and people ask me how transparent I would be, honestly, I'd be not even a quarter as transparent as you guys have been. I would simply say, we're building a game, deal with it, because I don't want to be bothered.
It's a pain, man. Like, sometimes it's a pain, but this is one of the reasons that we're doing this. Like, the public development build that we have for the Walking Dead Empires right now, the way that we're, having, these dev, conversations and fireside chats with McCarthy and the Miranda's team, and, all of these people, we try very hard to be transparent. The challenge that we run into, okay, and this is unbelievably frustrating, is that we have a caveat, okay, that is, look, guys, we're doing what we can. This is our plan. This is our intention. But, I intend to, be at this place by this time tonight. If there's traffic, I may be late. If my tire pops, I may be late. If any number of things happen, stuff comes up, I may not get there on time. We try as hard as we possibly can to be as transparent as we possibly can. But what happens sometimes is we'll say something being transparent, okay, and like, what is our timeline? Oh, well, we think that this thing is going to be done by this time, right? We say that, and what ends up happening is that it gets screen capped and said, it's this date. You aren't here on time. How dare you not be here on time? And it's like, okay, well, shit, maybe we shouldn't have told you anything. And maybe this is one of those things about setting expectations. Maybe we should just say, when somebody asks a question, fuck you, you'll find out when I want you to. But that's not the way that we work. That's not the way that I communicate. And so
you did it to yourself. Okay, good answer. Good.
We have definitely, no, you're not wrong when you say that. I don't know if you're joking or not when you said that, but yes, we absolutely have done this to ourselves. And we've done it to ourselves with the absolute best of intentions, and in working to be as wonderfully transparent as we possibly can. And what ends up happening, though, is that people take something, they take it the wrong way, or even worse, they'll take something selectively, okay, and say, well, you said this, and then you said this thing, which the Ravagers is a great example of that. Like, people got super freaking upset about that. It's like, okay, well, we held 200 Ravagers back. I said at the time when we held 200 Ravagers back, this may be the thing. In response even to one of the people that was criticizing us for what we did with the Ravagers, I went back and it, like, dude, you're in the screenshot of me saying we may do this. And then they say, like, well, but this one thing written by someone else on this blog that you don't even read because you don't have time to sit around and read blogs said this other thing. And people are like, oh, and I get it. I understand the frustration, but at the same time, it's like, people have a tendency to selectively audit and decide that they want to focus on one thing over the other. And it's a little frustrating at times, but I get it.
Well, I've said this at the very beginning, and I'm going to say it now. I've said it all during this time. People don't like watching how the sausage is made. They don't like seeing the company pivoting, changing direction because of economic realities, because of, I know that the town token was taken away, which I loved it. Worked well, did me a lot of good in my life.
Sure.
But and
that's great, and it should.
And it's been it's going to be replaced with something else. And people don't. It seems to me people don't like to see you learning from that stuff. They think that you've got to have it all figured out in the beginning.
What was the phrase? If you wanna see God laugh, tell him your plans. And it's also everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? What was that the Sylvester Stallone used to say? A lot of it is that, like, yes, we are constantly learning. We're constantly finding new ways to do things. We're constantly improving.
And that causes a lot of people to worry, especially the ones who speculate on things Gala related.
But the reality is that in so many ways you find something that's better, okay? And you may not realize it, okay? But we know, oh shit, this is really cool. We can take this cool lesson that we've learned and put it in these 3 places, okay? And it will make a world of difference, okay, if we do it this way. Okay, be super cool for people. And so we do that, and people are like, well, what we can't do, because nobody listens or will understand it, even if we were to sit down and go into it in great depth, is necessarily walk people through the entire logic tree. Plus, we don't know that if in implementation, maybe it works beautifully in implementation for A, but implementation in B has some slightly different thing, and so therefore it doesn't work. So we don't want to say like, oh, we're going to try this really cool new thing, because maybe it's not going to work. And so what you end up with is some of these things, as they sort of wend their way towards completion, changing sometimes significantly because of innovation. And that's the best thing that could possibly happen. What you don't want is something substandard to get shipped just because you need it shipped. How many times have we played something that, or used a software product that when you start it up for the first time, you're like, yeah, this should not have been shipped. We don't want that.
Cyberpunk 2077. There's some that you need to wait for the patch for it to even work right. So
my Steam library is full of that shit that I bought, tried, didn't work quite right, or there was something broken, and then I just haven't gone back and played it after sometimes years.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all I was trying to do, is just trying to get just a dose of realism in a lot of the conspiracy. The conspiracy is there because you guys are so interesting, because you guys are ubiquitous. The conspiracy theorists don't see it that way. They seem to think that you have some sort of really
nefarious plan, twisted agenda,
more organized than you are. I don't know.
Oh no, that's actually the funny thing is they're like, well, they did this. Like, dude, if I could have thought that fucking far ahead, I would be Elon level rich at this point in time. But that's not how this shit goes.
Okay, so yeah, I hope to cover this kind of stuff more. Hopefully,
sure, man.
I'd love it if I can call you back and ask you the process, how far things have moved forward. I do like
you're going to see significant updates by the end of the month, and I can now actually say that because it's December 1st.
Okay,
I said that yesterday. I was in Telegram, and somebody's like, well, when are the NFTs going to drop to the founders nodes? I'm like, oh, by the end of the month. And I'm like, fuck, it's the 30th. I'm like, I don't mean this month, I mean next month. I'm sorry. I was wishing it was Friday.
Okay, so you guys have promised that you would deliver on a lot of stuff. Have you guys delivered on a lot of stuff this year?
We have delivered on a ridiculous amount of stuff this year. We've also had delays, we've had slowdowns, we've had things that have been delivered on in a way that I am not personally happy about. We've had things that have been delivered specifically in terms of game economies. One of the things, when you talk about innovation is that, sometimes if you have other people building, you have sort of the development plan, and then somebody goes and builds that. And then you're like, well, but here's the new information. And they're like, well, but I'm already building this thing. So I'm going to finish this thing, and then maybe we'll consider upgrading to the new model. And so we've seen a couple games shipped with econ models that are kind of sort of V 1.0 when we're on like V3. now.
Would spider tanks be one of those?
No, so actually not. The problem with spider tanks isn't the economic model. The spider tanks economic model works really well. It has worked really well. I still hate Honor, but that's not the point. The econ model works really well. The development timeline is where spider tanks has fallen down. And as I so wish that I could change this. It pisses me off every time I see Johnny Gonzo in Gala Gold, like, make spider tanks great again. Fuck you, Gala. You guys suck. Why is spider tanks? Why is it shitty? Can't you see how shitty it is? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Okay. I have a question along that.
Sure.
Sometimes people will say something, and I don't follow a lot of these conversations. Sometimes people will say, well, you know, we asked Bitbender about such and such a game like spider tanks or whatever, and he blamed spider tanks. And other times we asked them about Mirandus, and they you know, and they blamed something else. They blamed lots of things going on. And sometimes the game publishers themselves are blaming. Yeah, I'll hurry it up because it sounds like you
can hear the background, huh?
So
somebody wants daddy.
Maybe we can end this with what's with the blaming? Why is it that, I mean,
it's not
top of all this?
It's not a blaming issue. It's just that if you ask a question like, you know, why doesn't my car work? Okay. You know, if you're not the person with the ability to fix the car, okay, there's nothing that you can do other than say, well, like, I'm not the one who can fix it. The mechanic is the one who can fix it. The dealership is the one who can fix it. You know, it's not necessarily like in the case of spider tanks, we don't have the source code. Okay. No amount of me trying to fix something in spider tanks will do anything because, again, we don't have the source code.
I think
media has to make changes.
I think what it is people seem to think that maybe you have more pull than you do with some developers. Maybe they think you have Miranda's level of control with spider tanks.
No, we absolutely don't. Absolutely do not. With Miranda's, if there's a problem, I can immediately, like, I'll call McCarthy on his freaking cell phone and be like, hey, McCarthy, we got to talk about this thing if there was an issue. There isn't, but if there was, that's what I could do. With other developers, like, we sometimes don't have any contact with them. I can't tell you, I'm not going to name names, but like how frustrating it can be for week after week after week after week after week after week after week. Like, we're talking 20 weeks in some cases. Okay. Messaging a developer saying, hey, can you get me an update for ahead of the game? Can you get me an update for ahead of the game? Can you give me anything for ahead of the game? And then have them not being able to, you know, or even not even answering my message. Like, I think that there's a couple of them I went for, you know, 3-4 months without hearing anything back. And then they're like, oh, here's this thing, you know.
Go ahead.
That's just the way it is. I mean, it's the difference between having an internal development studio and an external development studio. And, you know, what we want in the long run is to not have to do any of that and have other people just coming and building on the protocol, because that's the thing that makes the most sense for them. And we're getting to that point.
Well, I would definitely like in the future to talk to you more about those challenges, or what it is to deal with the different teams and with your own team. But I have to, I'd like to do that in the future. I have to get going now because
you get going. I have to go
my son that I was going to be doing something, and I'm a bit late on that. But I do very much appreciate you taking the time and doing this at the last minute. Thank you very much, and hopefully I didn't just alienate you with all those F-bombs I threw at you, because
not a problem, man.
Okay. Well, Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we're going to get going, guys.
Okay. Peace out, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.